Glad you could join us for the quick thought for today. I'm glad you're joining us again. This is the quick thought for the week. I wanted to think about the idea of values. We've been going through so many different things in life that sometimes we need to start focusing on what really is driving us. And when you look back to Acts chapter 2, you look at the people and you see what was really driving them to be able to do what they did. If you look to Acts chapter 2, the whole chapter, but particularly towards the end, you see a group of people just passionate about God. Not just passionate, but also mission driven and motivated because of the love of God in their heart. We all need that. So much more today. We need that passion and desire, but it comes from having those good values. Values in which we can base our life off of. We sometimes try to look to the world and looking at many different things to try to find and to understand values, but it comes from God. God can give us the values that really motivate our lives, that can really make a difference. I know it's hard sometimes to be able to make that time with God, but I encourage you to make a spiritual retreat, a time where you can evaluate what's really driving you in your life, to think about these things. But I wanted to point out a few that came out in Acts chapter 2, verses 42 to 47. And one that came out was wanting to learn and to know more about God's way. Not just our way or man's way, but God's way. That came out very clear in the writings that we saw there. You saw the value of a relationship. That was key. The way they were able to come together and to sell things, to be able to support other people that weren't necessarily fellow brothers in the faith, but yet were in need of help, and they were passing on God's love because of that. It was amazing to see that. But also their intimacy with God. Only because of that value of intimacy were they able to do the many things that they did. We need that kind of intimacy to drive us, to help us stand above the norm, above our culture, and to do what God is wanting us to do. Again, we look at their generosity and how they reached out into their community, and also in the way that they honored God and coming together and trying to bring other fellow believers, the Jews, together. They were reaching out in many different ways. We have such a wonderful example being shared there. And also, the last one I wanted to point out was the value that they valued God's desire for people to be reconciled to Him through Jesus Christ. I had to write that one down. But because of that value, and because of these values, it really shaped not just them, it shaped our church. Our church is truly built off these foundations. May we continue to look at our lives and say, how can I unleash these in my life? How can I find these values in my life? We see them here in Acts chapter 2, 43 through 47, but I encourage you to find these wonderful values that will make such a difference in our life. May God go with you and bless you indeed.